All right, today we're going to talk about DNA, but probably not in the way you learned it in biology class. We're going to look at the double helix through a completely new lens, one that sees it not just as a blueprint for life, but as an echo of the universe's most fundamental architecture. This is a journey into that 98% of our genetic code that science has often just written off. And you know what? It might just change how you see, well, everything.
So think about this. For decades, mainstream science has had this really strange label for the vast majority of our genome: junk DNA. But what if that isn't just a small oversight? What if it's one of the biggest misunderstandings in history? What if the real secrets aren't in the tiny 2% we think we understand, but they're hiding in plain sight in the 98% we've been so quick to ignore?
Just let that number sink in for a second. 98%. We're talking about the overwhelming majority of the instructions that make you you, the whole operating manual. The perspective we're exploring today says this isn't junk, it's not filler, it's the main operating system for our reality. Okay, to really wrap your head around this, we need to compare two totally different ways of looking at reality. On one side, you've got what we'll call the contractor. This is the conventional view, right? The universe is a machine and our job is to take it apart and measure the pieces. But on the other side, you have the architect, who sees the universe as this living, self-aware signal that's constantly creating itself. For the rest of this journey, we're going to be putting on the architect's hard hat. So let's zoom out. I mean, way out. Because to understand the tiny little geometric code inside your cells, you first have to understand the geometry of existence itself. It all starts here, not with some big explosion, but with a fundamental cosmic paradox. Imagine a single point, a zero-dimensional singularity. Let's call it the Furious Point. It's stuck in this impossible tension with the infinite nothingness around it. It can't stay still. Its only possible move is to spin. So what happens when a point with infinite potential starts spinning at like infinite RPM? It doesn't explode. No, it shatters into perfect, holographic copies of itself. Think of it less like a Big Bang and more like a Xerox event, a big copy. This is the moment a single point unfolds itself into the complex, 12-dimensional reality that's the foundation for our own. And this whole event reveals one of the two fundamental mechanics of the universe: rotation. This is the force of unity, of connection. It's what creates smooth, stable loops, building the layers of that 12-dimensional stack. It's the move that preserves the signal, that keeps the flow going. And then you have its opposite, the twist. This is the confrontational force. It's a sharp 90-degree flip, an inversion that forces things to have an opposite. Wave becomes particle. In becomes out. This is the move that creates all the detail, all the complexity. It's what refines the signal. So, okay, we've got this cosmic architecture built on these two simple moves: rotation and twist. Now, I want you to zoom all the way back in, right into the nucleus of one of your cells, because that exact same architecture, that same cosmic dance, is happening right there in your DNA. So let's just quickly recap that cosmic blueprint, right? The Furious Point rotates, and that creates a one-dimensional line that loops back on itself. Then a twist flips it, creating a two-dimensional flat circle, a plane. And one more rotation curls that plane up into a stable three-dimensional shape, a torus, like a donut. And this is where it gets just absolutely brilliant. Look at this. Your DNA follows the exact same steps. A single strand is essentially a line circle. The twisting action of the base pairs creates that flat two-dimensional plane circle. And then the way the helix supercoils on itself, it creates a perfect biological torus. It's like the universe is remembering how to create itself, but this time in flesh and blood. So if DNA is fundamentally a machine built on twists, what does that mean for its code? The A's, T's, C's, and G's. Well, that old contractor view just sees them as simple chemical letters on a tape. But the architect? The architect sees them as something way more dynamic. They are active, physical units of twist resistance. Okay, get this. The AT pair, right? It's connected by two hydrogen bonds. That makes it weaker, easier to twist apart. It has low resistance. It's more fluid, more wave-like. But the CG pair has 3 bonds. It's much tougher, much harder to twist. It has high resistance. It's more stable, more particle-like. So what this means is that your DNA isn't just storing data. It's a physical machine with built-in points of high and low torque,
high and low tension.
And this brings us to a really mind-bending idea. If our DNA is a machine that echoes the cosmos, well then it must also be able to talk to that 12-dimensional reality. This model maps that whole complex universe onto 4 stable bands, or as we'll call them, rooms, that our consciousness can actually tune into and experience.
Okay, this is the map. Let's break it down. It connects specific parts of your DNA to these different dimensional rooms. So in room 1, our physical reality, our flesh, the repetitive parts of our DNA act as a physical anchor, giving our body density and structure. But look at room 2, the room of choice. The tuner for this room is that so-called junk DNA. And its job? Navigating different timelines and probabilities. Whoa! Go deeper into the soul room, and it's our telomeres, the caps on our chromosomes that act like firewalls, filtering cosmic noise into a clear signal. And finally, the spirit room is tuned by these ancient archetypal master key sequences, allowing us to resonate directly with the source of it all.
So here's the absolute key takeaway. The 2% of DNA we've studied to death, that just builds the hardware. It builds a physical body. But the 98% we've dismissed as junk, that's the master tuning dial. It's a sophisticated antenna that determines which dimensional room, which reality, that body is actually operating in. Well, this leads to a pretty profound question, doesn't it? If your DNA is a tuner for reality, then who's turning the dial? And this right here is the final and most empowering piece of this whole puzzle. The answer is you are. You are the sovereign pilot. In this model, your consciousness, your awareness, is a little piece, a local shard of that original furious point. You're not just a passenger along for the ride in a biological machine. You are the observer whose focus and intention literally biases the twist. You are applying the pressure that tunes the signal. You are steering. So how does the steering actually work? Well, the universe is in this constant balancing act. On one hand, you have light, this outward force that's always pushing, always building more complexity. But balancing it out is gravity. And in this model, gravity isn't just what keeps your feet on the floor. It's an active, inward, restoring force. It's like a universal quantum error correction code, constantly pulling everything back to its original perfect symmetry. And here is the stunning punchline. Your DNA is your own personal biological quantum error correction code. The entire helix, with its strong and weak twist points, its supercoiled toroidal shape, is a machine perfectly designed to maintain your personal symmetry, your health, your coherence, against all the chaotic noise of the universe. And this isn't just some abstract idea. It actually gives the pilot, you, a practical toolkit. Your focused attention acts like torque. It's how you apply force to the system. Your clear intention is what selects a specific possibility, a specific timeline from the quantum field. Your emotions, they've been shown to physically change and modulate the twist resistance in your DNA. And your overall awareness, that just increases the coherence and power of the whole system. You are actively, physically, and biologically tuning your reality every moment. So we end with a choice, a question. The old contractor's logic tells you that you're just a passenger, a random accident of chemistry living in a dead universe. But the architect's logic? It suggests something far more incredible, that you are the pilot of a breathtakingly complex 12-dimensional instrument, and that instrument is hard-coded with the geometry of the cosmos itself. The choice of which reality to tune into, well, that's up to you.